I never thought I would be the kind of woman who cheats. The words echo in my mind as I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, my body still and stiff beneath the covers. The room is dark, but my eyes refuse to close. My husband's arm is draped over me, warm and familiar, just like it has been every night for the past 7 years. But tonight it feels different. Tonight it feels like a chain holding me in place. Because tonight I was in another man's bed. I squeeze my eyes shut, as if that could erase the memory. As if I could will away the guilt pressing against my chest like a weight I wasn't prepared to carry. I listen to Mark's breathing. Deep, steady, peaceful. He has no idea. He doesn't know that while he sat on our couch watching TV, trusting me, loving me, I was somewhere else with someone else, shattering the life we built together. How did I let this happen? It didn't start with betrayal. There was no plan, no reckless decision made in an instant. It started slowly, too slowly for me to recognize it for what it was. Like a quiet crack forming in the foundation of a house, too small to notice at first. But then, little by little, the crack deepened, spread, until suddenly, the walls came crashing down. I shift slightly, careful not to wake Mark, but even the movement makes my skin prickle with discomfort. I feel like a stranger in my own bed, in my own life. Evening comes too soon. The sunlight seeps through the curtains, stretching across the room in golden streaks. I blink against the brightness, my body heavy with exhaustion, my mind fogged with guilt and something else I don't want to name. Beside me, Mark stirs. He lets out a sleepy groan, his arm tightening around my waist in a lazy embrace. For a moment, I let myself sink into the familiarity of it, the warmth of his body, the way he smells like home. But then, like a whisper in the back of my mind, I remember last night. Ryan's hands. Ryan's lips. The way I felt when I was with him, electric, weightless scene. Mark kisses my shoulder. "Morning, babe." His voice is rough with sleep. He doesn't open his eyes, just buries his face against me like he always does. I swallow hard. "Morning." I wait for the guilt to come crashing down, to crush me under its weight. But it doesn't. Not the way I expected. Instead, there's only a quiet, nagging voice in my head, asking the same question over and over again. Why wasn't this enough for me? Mark rolls onto his back, stretching. "You got in late last night. Did you have fun with your friends?" My stomach tightens. The lie sits there between us, cold and silent, but I force a smile. "Yeah, it was nice." "Good." Yawns. "I missed you." I turn away before he can see the flicker of emotion cross my face. It's not just guilt. It's frustration, confusion, something tangled and messy inside me that I can't yet define. Because the truth is, Mark is a good man. A wonderful man. He's steady, reliable, and kind. The kind of husband every woman dreams of. But maybe that's the problem. Our life is predictable routine. The same conversations, the same weekend plans, the same kisses that have lost their fire. I don't even remember the last time I felt butterflies with him. With Ryan, I felt them instantly. The thought makes my stomach twist. I shouldn't be thinking about him. Not while lying next to my husband. Not while wearing the ring he placed on my finger with so much love 7 years ago. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, as if that will steady me, as if that will silence the storm inside me. But I know one thing for sure. Last night wasn't just a mistake. It was a crack in something I thought was unbreakable. And I don't know if I can ever go back. Through the motions of the morning like nothing is wrong. Like I am still the woman I was yesterday. Mark hums as he makes coffee, dressed in his usual button-down and slacks, the picture of routine. I sit at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around my mug, nodding at the right moments as he talks about his day ahead. Meetings, deadlines, the same things he's told me 100 times before. But my mind is somewhere else. Someone else. Ryan. I shouldn't be thinking about him. Not when my husband is right in front of me, smiling at me like I'm still the woman he fell in love with. But I can't help it. My body still remembers the way Ryan's hands felt on my skin, the way his voice dipped when he whispered my name. I shake the thought away and take a sip of my coffee, but even the warmth doesn't chase away the cold feeling creeping up my spine. Big day at work? Mark asks, leaning against the counter as he sips his own coffee. I nod quickly. Yeah, busy. I don't know why I lie. Maybe because it's easier. Maybe because the truth, that my mind is consumed with thoughts of another man, would shatter him. Or maybe because I don't know how to stop. Mark smiles, sets his mug down, and walks over to kiss the top of my head. It's a sweet gesture. Familiar one. I used to love these small moments, the effortless way we fit together. But now, all I feel is the weight of what I've done. And yet, I don't regret it. That realization sends a jolt of fear through me. Mark heads out the door, calling over his shoulder. Love you. I open my mouth to respond, but the words stick in my throat. The door closes before I can force them out. I sit there in silence, the house suddenly too big, too empty. I should feel relief now that I'm alone. But instead I feel suffocated. My phone buzzes on the table. Ryan. My breath catches. I shouldn't answer. I shouldn't even look. But my fingers move before I can stop them. Ryan, thinking about you. 3 simple words. And yet they send a thrill through me, a warmth that spreads through my chest. A feeling I haven't had in years. I stare at the screen, heart pounding, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I should ignore him. I should end this now before it spirals any further. But I don't. Instead, I type back 2 words that feel like crossing a line I can never return from. Into. And just like that, I know this isn't over. Not even close. Go through the motions of the morning like nothing is wrong. Like I am still the woman I was yesterday. Mark hums as he makes coffee, dressed in his usual button-down and slacks, the picture of routine. I sit at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around my mug, nodding at the right moments as he talks about his day ahead. Meetings, deadlines, the same things he's told me 100 times before. But my mind is somewhere else. Someone else. Ryan. I shouldn't be thinking about him. Not when my husband is right in front of me, smiling at me like I'm still the woman he fell in love with. But I can't help it. My body still remembers the way Ryan's hands felt on my skin, the way his voice dipped when he whispered my name. I shake the thought away and take a sip of my coffee, but even the warmth doesn't chase away the cold feeling creeping up my spine. Big day at work? Mark asks, leaning against the counter as he sips his own coffee. I nod quickly. Yeah, busy. I don't know why I lie. Maybe because it's easier. Maybe because the truth, that my mind is consumed with thoughts of another man, would shatter him. Or maybe because I don't know how to stop. Mark smiles, sets his mug down, and walks over to kiss the top of my head. It's a sweet gesture. Familiar one. I used to love these small moments, the effortless way we fit together. But now, all I feel is the weight of what I've done. And yet, I don't regret it. That realization sends a jolt of fear through me. Mark heads out the door, calling over his shoulder. Love you. I open my mouth to respond, but the words stick in my throat. The door closes before I can force them out. I sit there in silence, the house suddenly too big, too empty. I should feel relief now that I'm alone. But instead I feel suffocated. My phone buzzes on the table. Ryan. My breath catches. I shouldn't answer. I shouldn't even look. But my fingers move before I can stop them. Ryan, thinking about you. 3 simple words. And yet they send a thrill through me, a warmth that spreads through my chest. A feeling I haven't had in years. I stare at the screen, heart pounding, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I should ignore him. I should end this now before it spirals any further. But I don't. Instead, I type back 2 words that feel like crossing a line I can never return from. Into. And just like that, I know this isn't over. Not even close. Let me know if you're ready for Chapter 4, or if you'd like any adjustments. Go for and do it longer. ChatGPT. Chapter 4. A fire that won't die. The moment I press send, I know I've made a choice. Maybe not the final one, but a choice nonetheless. A part of me expected to feel sick as soon as the message left my phone, to be overwhelmed by guilt so crushing that I'd immediately regret it. But that feeling never comes. Instead, a slow heat spreads through me, a pulse of something dangerous and thrilling. My stomach knots, but not in the way it did last night when I lay in bed beside Mark, drowning in shame. This feeling is different. It's excitement. It's hunger. My phone buzzes again. Ryan, can I see you? A lump forms in my throat. I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. And yet my fingers move on their own. Me when? Almost immediately he replies. Now. My pulse quickens. I glance around the empty house. My coffee now cold on the table. Mark is at work. There's no one here to stop me. No one to question why I'm dressed a little nicer than usual, why I'm putting on makeup when I work in an office where no one cares. I tell myself I won't go, that I'll turn off my phone, take a deep breath, and come to my senses. But 5 minutes later, I'm standing in front of my closet, slipping into a dress I know Ryan likes. The drive to Ryan's apartment is a blur. My hands grip the steering wheel too tightly, my heart hammering with each passing mile. Every logical part of me is screaming to turn around, to go home and pretend none of this ever happened. But I keep going. By the time I pull into his parking lot, my palms are sweaty. My throat is dry. I sit in the car for a moment, my mind racing with a million reasons why this is a terrible idea. But then the door to his building swings open, and there he is. Ryan leans against the doorway, his arms crossed, that same easy smirk on his lips that made me weak the first time I met him. He doesn't wave, doesn't call out, just watches me waiting. And God help me, I step out of the car. I don't even hesitate as I walk toward him. He moves aside, letting me in, and as soon as the door closes behind us, his hands are on me. I should stop this. I should push him away. But I don't. Because when Ryan kisses me, I don't think about Mark. I don't think about the life I'm risking, the marriage I'm setting on fire with every second I spend in this man's arms. All I think about is how good it feels to be wanted again. How good it feels to burn. Hours pass. Maybe more. I lose track of time in the tangle of sheets, in the heat of skin against skin. It's only when I hear my phone vibrate on the nightstand that reality creeps back in. Mark. The name flashes across the screen like a warning, like a ghost pulling me back to the life I've been trying to escape. My stomach twists as I reach for it, my hands shaking. I hesitate, staring at the phone like it might catch fire in my hands. Then I let it ring. Ryan watches me from across the bed, propped up on one elbow. His expression unreadable. You don't have to answer, he says, his voice low. And I don't. Not this time. Instead, I let the call go to voicemail and turn back toward Ryan, letting the guilt fade into the background. For now I choose this, even if I don't know where it will lead. Even if I know deep down that I can't have both. By the time I leave Ryan's apartment, the sun is already beginning to set. The sky is painted in streaks of orange and pink, beautiful and fleeting, just like whatever this is between us. As I drive home, my body still hums with the memory of his touch. But beneath the lingering heat, the excitement, something darker lurks, an unease curling around my ribs, tightening the closer I get to home. I ignored Mark's call earlier. I told myself I'd deal with it later. But later is now. When I pull into the driveway, my stomach twists. Mark's car is here. I take a breath, steadying myself. I tell myself to act normal, to be the wife he expects me to be. But as I step inside, I know immediately that something is off. The house is quiet, too quiet. Then I see him. Mark is sitting at the kitchen table, his phone resting in front of him. He looks up as I enter, his brows slightly furrowed, concern etched into his face. "Hey," he says, his voice gentle. "Where were you?" I swallow hard, forcing a smile. Work ran late. Then I went out for coffee. The lie slips out so easily. Too easily. Mark studies me for a second, his eyes searching my face. "I called you." "I know," I say quickly, brushing past him to the sink. I turn on the faucet, pretending to rinse a cup just to avoid his gaze. "I must have missed it." Was. Then softly. "Are you okay?" I grip the edge of the sink. He knows something is wrong. maybe not what, not yet, but something. I turn, plastering on a smile. Of course. Just tired. Mark nods, but he doesn't look convinced. He gets up, crossing the room to wrap his arms around me from behind, pressing a kiss to my temple. I feel like I haven't seen you much lately. I stiffen in his arms. 'Cause he's right. Because I don't know how to love him the same way I did before Ryan. Because I don't know who I am anymore. That night I dream of two lives. In one I am here in this house with Mark. The safe life. The stable life. In the other I am with Ryan, chasing something reckless, something wild and unknown. But in both I feel like I'm losing myself. I wake up in a cold sweat, my heart hammering. Mark is still asleep beside me. His breathing slow and steady. I turn onto my side, staring at him in the darkness. I love him. I know I do. But then why do I crave Ryan just as much? I close my eyes, pressing my fingers to my temples. I can't keep living in two worlds. Sooner or later I'll have to choose. The problem is I don't know who I want to be. The next few days pass in a blur of stolen moments and quiet lies. I wake up beside Mark, make coffee, go to work, smile when I have to, laugh when it's expected. Then, when no one is looking, I slip away to Ryan. With him, time bends, the world disappears, and for a few blissful hours, I am someone else. Someone reckless, someone desired, someone who isn't drowning in predictability. But when I return home, when I step back into the life I built with Mark, the weight of my choices crushes me. I have never been more exhausted. I have never felt more alive. One evening I come home later than usual. Mark is in the living room, the TV on, but he's not watching it. He's staring at the floor, a crease between his brows, his jaw tense. The moment I step inside I feel it, the shift in the air, the heaviness in the silence. "Where were you?" he asks. His voice is steady, but there's something underneath it. Something careful. I set my purse down slowly. Work ran late. He doesn't react. Just nods once. "You've been working late a lot." I force a chuckle, moving toward the kitchen. "Yeah, it's been crazy lately." Then he says it. "I called your office." Freeze. My breath catches in my throat. He knows. I turn to him, my heart hammering. "What?" "I called your office," he repeats. "You weren't there." My mouth goes dry. My pulse pounds in my ears. I try to think of something, anything to say, but my mind is blank. Mark watches me, waiting, hoping maybe that I'll tell him something that makes all of this go away. But I can't, because there's nothing left to say. That night we don't talk. He doesn't ask again. I don't offer any more lies. We just exist in the same space, side by side, but miles apart. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, my chest tight with the weight of it all. This is it. The moment I have to decide. I can come clean, beg for forgiveness, try to repair the damage I've done. Mark is a good man, maybe he would fight for us. Maybe he would still love me despite everything. Or I can walk away. Choose Ryan. Choose the fire, the passion, the version of myself that only exists when I'm with him. But as I lie there, caught between the two halves of my life, I realize something terrifying. I don't know who I want to be. I don't know if I can live without Mark. I don't know if I can live without Ryan. And so, for now I do nothing. For now, I stay suspended in the in-between, paralyzed by the choice I can't make. And that terrifies me more than anything.